They came from the heights of the mountain, a long procession winding their way between the cracks and steeples of stone. The peak was hidden in fog. Through the ravines and over the hunched backs of granite, the men padded, barefoot, all in a line, one after another, silent in the morning. They walked through the high, barren places where the ancient wind had licked the limestone into pillars and pits, caves and crevasses. There were 200 boys and men, all dressed in flowing robes of green, and each one carried a small piece of a dismantled white van. They marched through hollows carved by howling storms and mazes formed by no human hand. The largest men carried the van's white doors, their heads sticking through the open windows, or they hefted a roof panel between them. Others carried the exhaust pipe, the dashboard, the brake pads. The littlest boys, 6 or 7 years old, carried single bolts cupped in their hands. The procession was led by 2 silent youths, frowning, walking side by side, both cradling the headlights in their arms. The line of them wandered through the bitter karst. They were the monks of Vibengum, called the Platter of Heaven, the most powerful monastery in the whole state of Delaware. They filed along dinosaur curves and great stone mounds. Only 3 of the people in this solemn parade of broke-down van did not wear green robes and did not have their heads shaved. Lily Gefelty, a slightly stocky girl whose bangs flapped down in her face or blew backward in a burst, depending on the wavering breeze, carried the crankshaft timing gear. Her eyes, when they appeared through her hair, were bright, and she greeted each new vista with mute delight. She loved the mountain above them and the green forests down below. She loved that she was here with her friends, and that they were on their way home after a satisfying adventure. She was very ready for home. Behind her was Jasper Dash, boy Technonaut. He wore a pith helmet and kept squinting into the haze, trying to make out the Delaware Canal or the smokestacks of far Wilmington. Unlike Lily, he was used to mountaintops, monks, and danger, having appeared in his own series of adventure books in which he peddled blimps through the air, socked ruffians, and rode buffaloes bareback. Still, he also wanted to get home to his mother and his own bedroom and laboratory. Katie Mulligan, behind him, wore the van's fan belt around her neck. She was used to adventure, too, because she starred in a series called Horror Hollow, in which she unwound mummies, taught werewolves to heal, and heavily salted leech invasions. Under other circumstances, she would have been grumpy about yet another adventure. She was getting tired of being bitten, stomped, and slimed. But on this particular day, she was in an extremely good mood, because right behind her walked Durgnan Puglik, a young monk of Vibengum who had agreed to go to the school dance with her. It is unusual for monks to go to school dances. Usually, they spend their free time chanting in Latin, speaking in riddles, drawing cherubs in old books, and slapping themselves with stinging nettles. But Durgnan was a very unusual monk. For one thing, he was being trained as one of his monastery's protectors, and taught martial arts so that he could rove around the country, doing good and making sure that no pirate or plunderer threatened his sacred order and their secrets. The monks climbed down the mountain. They were leaving their home, or to be more precise, their home was leaving them. They all gathered to rest on a little plateau with pillars of limestone like a fallen palace of wax. Lily sat down and took out her water bottle. She unscrewed the lid and took a deep swig. She watched the monks carefully. She could tell something was going to happen, but she didn't know what. She knew that it was time for a few of the monks to leave their home, so that they could go out into the world, across the forbidden border of Delaware, to collect those sculptures and gold-bound manuscripts that had recently been stolen by gangsters. As lovingly described in the previous volume, Jasper Dash and the Flame Pits of Delaware. The monks would give Lily, Katie, and Jasper a ride home to Pelt, their town. Hence the procession and the auto parts. The monks had dismantled the gangsters' white van. There was no road on this side of the mountain. They were carrying the van down the mountain to reassemble it near a road. Then Katie, Jasper, Lily, and Durgnan would drive with a few of the senior monks toward the border of Delaware. They would make their way to Pelt and reclaim the artifacts illegally sold to the Pelt Museum.